a very warm welcome, both figuratively and literally, to the historic Circuito de Jerez for the third race in the Moto2 European Championship this year. And it is a scorcher here in Andalusia. We're in for some fantastic racing. If all the drama in the season opener in Estoril is anything to go by, the talent on display in the Moto2 European Championship is absolutely immense. And if there's one truism we can employ for it, it's that anything can happen, especially at this track, with its incredible 13 corners, graced with the names of the likes of Dani Pedrosa, Alex Crivier, and of course, Jorge Lorenzo's Turn 13, which has seen so many races decided. And we're in for a real treat with 16 laps to enjoy. I'm Conor Doherty, and I'm joined as ever by my dear colleague Chris Jordan for round 2. And we can just see what happened in the previous races in Estoril, in which Unai Radre earned the first 25 points of the season. We saw Harrison Voigt crash out early on, and all eyes were on the battle between Eric Fernandez and Alberto Ferrandez, but both of whom crashed out of the lead, as did Milan Pavelic when in podium contention. It was Unai Radre who claimed a well-deserved win ahead of Francesco Mongiado and Alberto Sura. In race 2, we saw more drama, but it was Ferrandez who claimed the top spot on the podium, with reigning champion Roberto Garcia battling with Adrian Cruzes. But Alberto Ferrandez continued to make strides at the front, while Garcia himself crashed out. It was a fantastic win for Ferrandez, his first of the season, making up for his earlier crash. As I said there, I'm joined by Chris Jordan in the commentary box here. Chris, an absolute pleasure to be here with a veteran like yourself.
Thank you for such a wonderful introduction, Connor. Yes, I think we've done a few. I think you're in the veteran status now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
By age, I think. You're slowly getting there. But yes, it's a scorcher here, as you mentioned. 37 degrees, as you can see there. It is very, very hot. And look, we've had 2 excellent races so far today. No spoilers here until race 2, obviously. We have 1 Moto2 race coming our way today, and I'm very excited, but it looks, if it's anything to go by the drama we had in Estoril and Moto2, I think the race here is going to match the conditions. It's going to be an absolute scorcher.
But they are completely different conditions as well. We have to remember that that first race in Moto2 in Estoril was marked by the wetness of the track, and riders had to deal with that. This time around, 37 degrees Celsius. It's the first heat wave here in Spain of the year, and it is going to be very difficult for the riders to deal with it. In the 2 hours that we've been here watching some of the fantastic racing in the FIM JuniorGP World Championship, the temperature has increased 7 degrees, and it's going to be going up and up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a very, very hot day out there.
Let's take a look at how Milan Pavelic earned P1.
Today was really hard, but from the beginning, from the morning to the end, the Q2, I was quite fast to be on the pole position. I'm so happy, my first pole position in the European Championship. So what can I say more? I'm very happy. Tomorrow we're waiting for the race. I will go full. Let's see. And thank you to all my team, crew chef, sponsor, and my friends, my brother who came here to support me. Thank you so much.
Milan Pavelic on pole, and what a lap he put in. He was fast in practice, faster in qualifying, and deservedly takes his place at the front of the grid. And Rocky has just jumped up from JuniorGP, and already he's looking like a real contender. In the opening races in Estoril, well, he just fell short. He was very much in podium contention, but this time around he's put himself in the best possible position to build on what was an excellent start in Portugal, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I'd have to say it took us somewhat by surprise, his performances in Estoril in the 2 races, because he was in those podium places in race 1, okay? He was quite a bit off the lead, and due to what I could only describe as insane drama in race 1, seeing both Eric Fernandez, Alberto Ferrandez crashing out of the lead, Roberto Garcia crashed out of his podium charge.
That was like a Greek comedy, a Greek tragicomedy. No one came out on top, apart from, of course, Unai Aradre, who we just saw there, who took full advantage.
Absolutely, but it offered an opportunity for Milan Pavelich to be on the podium. He was riding in P3, and we were like, oh, this is an amazing result. This was going to be an amazing result, and then he was the next rider to go down. And we thought perhaps that was his golden opportunity. For a rookie rider in Moto2 coming up from JuniorGP, we thought that might have been an opportunity for best result of the season. But then in race 2, he comes, backs it up, comes here. He's been one of the fastest riders across free practice. He's pole position. He's got to be starting here as the favourite, I think.
I think that's a fair assessment to make. I actually really recall saying, this is a golden opportunity and he's going to be ruining the fact that he's missed it. Well, he shut me up. Milan.
Yeah. And I can tell you that is hard to do. No, but yeah, he's come in he's taken us by surprise, certainly. So now we're putting the weight of the world on him expectation-wise, starting from pole position. But look, you would have to say pole position is a great achievement for Pavelich. A podium would be a great result. A victory, magical.
I think that's a fair assessment. And there's Roberto Garcia, the reigning champion here. It was his birthday yesterday, so many happy returns to the local who's also from Seville. So this is going to be an absolutely incredible race for him.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that are out here watching as well. I mean, it's a scorching day and people have come out in numbers. There we can see Alberto Ferrandez, another absolutely fantastic rider. We saw just how talented he is in the season over in Estoril. Really highly regarded in the paddock and has a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, Ferrandez, again, as we mentioned, he crashed in race 1 out of the lead and he had a comfortable advantage in Estoril, but then bounced back in style for race 2. Took that win. Really cost him a lot. You could see it in his celebrations in the track afterwards. He'll be starting on the outside of the second row, Ferrandez, but he has race winning experience, of course. Winning here in 2024. Huge talent. I would expect him. Sorry, he didn't win here. He won in Aragon. I'm getting my circuits mixed up. But a
different part of Spain.
Yes,
Aragon,
a huge talent nonetheless. And I would expect him to be very much in contention here. Yeah. Dani Munoz then. Speaking of Jerez winners and getting it right this time, Dani Munoz took the win here last year. Perhaps didn't hit the heights expected of him in Estoril that we were expecting. We've seen him in the Moto2 World Championship stage and he was definitely impressive. Didn't pick up any points, but he was certainly keeping pace with the top riders. Then last year kind of exploded into form in Catalonia, taking a double victory and then another victory in Jerez. Didn't quite stitch together the championship charge that could have come, but he'd be hopeful of one this year.
Yeah, absolutely, and rightly so, because he was fantastic, as you said, like from Catalonia onwards, he was really one to watch. We just saw Marco Tapia as well, who did look strong as well in Estoril, finished P6 in the first race and an unfortunate DNF in the second, currently 10th in this championship. Harrison Voigt there, who had that awful crash in Estoril, but has shown his talent time and time again.
Yeah, Harrison, a very talented rider, formerly in Moto3, an ATC graduate as well. 11th in last year's championship, so he'll be hoping to build on that. No points in Estoril, as we mentioned, he had a crash. Alberto Sorra, starting perhaps a little bit further back than we're used to seeing the number 67 Italian. Race winner in Misano last year. We've seen him in the Moto3 World Championship circuit as well. P3, race 1 last time out, and a P5. So a very solid opening to his campaign. He'll be hoping to rise a few places here, starting in the middle of the 4th row in P11. You'd be Alberto Sura is a name you would think is typically going to be in the podium battle, but if top 6 and above here would be a solid outing, you would have to say, for Sura. Rossi Moore then. Rossi, a rider who's come through the Northern Talent Cup. And can you guess who he's named after?
Does it have anything to do with the number 46 by any chance?
Perchance. Yeah.
I mean, there are 3 names there that could be of interest. I mean, you've got Rossi, you've got Attila, obviously, very famous historical figure. Moore? Well, that could be Thurston Moore, but it doesn't get spelled the same way.
Straws with that one.
Well, with a Sonic Youth reference.
Let's keep it motorcycle related. Rossi Moore, Northern Talent Cup winner. And then he's actually returned to the European circuits. I think he spent the last couple of seasons around American racing, American superbikes. So good to have him back regularly on European television screens. Josh Watley, Moto3 rider back in his day. New adventure waiting for him here in the Moto2 European Championship.
He did race last year here in Jerez and was really impressive. Like, he took to the bike really, really well. I think he had a technical issue, and that meant that he couldn't finish the race, but he was setting a really, really good pace.
Yeah. So, hugely talented rider.
Yeah, just maybe looking for his place where he needs to be racing. And just get some laps under him here, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. The number 92, Rossi Moore. And what's 92 divided by 2? Just FYI.
46?
46.
Ah, okay.
It runs. Apparently, I remember speaking to him a couple of years ago, our man on the ground at the time, Oliver Seeley. Rossi Moore was explaining that he chose the number 92 because it's 2 times 46 after a certain icon of the sport. So your grid for the Moto2 European Championship race here in Jerez is Milan Pavlitz on pole. The pole on pole ahead of Unai Oradre and Eric Fernandez, I should say. Francesco Mongiardo, Garcia Ferrandez on the second row. Then it's Suratusa, Munoz Tapia, Arsen Vogt, Alberto Sura, Rossi Moore, Morosi, Volpi, Watley on row 5. Demis Michele, Johan Gimber, and Facundo Yambias on the 6th row. Palomera, Jimenez, Ruiz are next on line. Then Lorenzo Felon, Mario Mayor, Maxwell Thought, Kursavan, Alcubaisi, Lolly on the 9th row. Then it's Emmanuel Urustiegi, Somarvia, Guarnieri, Eisenkolz, who complete your Moto2 grid for the race here in Jerez.
Yeah, we're just about ready to go for the warm-up lap here.
It should also be mentioned that Mattia Volpi is at the back of the grid. He received a penalty as well during qualifying and has been slapped with a back of the grid penalty.
Unfortunate for him. Pole on pole. Absolutely wonderful, that. Fantastic stuff, Chris. Keep all the puns coming. Everything that you've got in your mind. I know it's working on humour all the time. Oh, we've got an incident here.
Who we got here? Was there an incident on the warm-up lap? But we're off. We're off and racing.
We are off.
Sorry, it's the warm-up lap.
You're scaring everyone there, Chris. Scaring everyone. But whenever you see a rider running like that on the grid like that, I mean, we're becoming used to it in this sport now. I mean, we've had Americas with all the riders in MotoGP, and then we saw what happened in France, and now it's happening in Moto2 European Championship.
Yeah. Well, first of all, my apologies. All the drama has me confused, befuddled, shall we say. But yeah, the drama will bring you an update there. So we've seen it. There has been an update to the rules, of course, similar to what we see in the MotoGP Championship, that if you don't start the warm-up lap from your grid position and you start it from pit lane, then you will return to your grid position for lights out, but receive a double long lap penalty. So we've seen some of that drama plenty of times this year, not just in these categories, in the lower categories Junior GP class, but also in MotoGP. The week after that they were brought in, we saw plenty of it in the French GP. So as you see, 37 degrees Celsius, Connor. It's hot.
It's very hot. And it's very important that we're all aware of these new rules and regulations, Chris. So I'm very grateful to you for having read them in detail from front to back. Absolutely excellent stuff. Your knowledge of this sport is second to none, I think. Here we can see the live championship. Unai Radre leading after a P1 and P2 finish in Estoril. Mongiardo in P2. He had a fantastic time of it in Estoril as well in that season opener in the Moto2 European Championship. Third is Sura. So yeah, that's absolutely fascinating stuff. We'll see what Unai Radre can do here, see if he can build on his incredible performance and take advantage of his position in P2. In P1 though, it is Milan Pavelec on pole for the very first time. And as you mentioned earlier, Chris, he's been strong all weekend here. Well, we're just about ready to go. If we do get any confirmation of what happened at the beginning of that warm-up lap, we will let you know as the riders take their position for the Moto2 European Championship race. The green flag is waving at the back, and we're just about ready to go. The lights are on and we are off. It's Milan Pavelec with a start there. He's still leading.
Collision at the start between Eric Fernandez and Unai Radre. Fernandez veering very quickly, I think, into Radre's path. We'll get a replay of that soon, but it is Pavelec who's leading, Connor.
Yeah, and Alberto Fernandez following very, very closely on that. Bosco Escuro, but absolutely incredible. What a start from Pavelec as well, showing that pace that he's got.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's the name of the game is pace. Pavelec, look at that. He's already opened about 5-6 bike lengths to Fernandez at the back, but he's got a little bit wider there. Fernandez has managed to close it up. But Pavelec, yeah, we've said it. He's been top of practice sessions, been top of some free practice sessions, pole sitter here. And now, name of the game is pace. Fernandez, we know he has buckets of pace. We've seen it across plenty of races in 2024. We saw it at the season opener too. Alberto Fernandez, the hunt begins for the Spaniard. Eric Fernandez, the number 4, has recovered from that collision at the beginning with Unai Radre. As we've lost a rider here, Johan Gimber is out at the opening lap. It looks like that is around turn 5, I think. It looks like the gravel pits around turn 5. But back out at the front, it's Fernandez in second position. Milan Pavelec has opened up a half-second gap to Fernandez. Fernandez ahead of Monjardo, the teammates. Then it's Unai Radre, Roberto Garcia, Xabi Zuretuzza. As we've already lost another rider, Alessio Guarnieri is out of the race.
Man, look at how that suit is just puffed up there.
Yeah, those are the airbags in full flow. So it must have been heavy enough off for Guarnieri.
Yeah, Radre's dropped down to 6th now with Garcia taking his spot. Pavelec really getting some distance between himself and Alberto Fernandez. So that's very positive for the pole. While Alberto Fernandez will really need to try and catch up. He's going to be finding himself in a battle with Eric Fernandez, something we saw in Estoril as well, time and time again. I mean, these two just love to battle it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Fernandez, Alberto Fernandez at the front of a race. Okay, they're not P1, but they're P2, P3.
Take a look at that start again.
We're familiar. Oh, it's Eric Fernandez who just veers straight across into Unai Radre.
But immediately.
Yeah, that's just power of the bike from the off. He mustn't have it under full control, because that, you don't see it that often. Look at that.
Look at that.
One leg up in the air.
Red flag.
Red flag. We've got something that has happened. Is it track conditions? Has somebody gone off? We haven't noticed anything, but the red flag is waving here in Jerez. We see some of the marshals in the background.
Well, as soon as we have
notice.
Any confirmation
There's a three-way crash on our timing screens. Jeffrey Emmanuel Lorenzo Samariva and Jonas Eisenkolz look to have gone down together. So hopefully the riders are okay. But we have a red flag here in Jerez. So we will have a restart. So riders peeling back into pit lane. Connor. Has to be said, it was a super impressive start from Milan Pavelec. Really, really was impressive, the Polish rider. Yeah, it looks like track conditions. You see the marshals pointing.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that is, there was a collision and there's oil on track. So absolutely the correct decision. That's at turn 6. We don't know when we're going to get underway again, but we will once the marshals have completed their clean-up job.
important, making sure that all the riders are participating in a safe manner.
Yeah, so I mentioned that Emmanuel Samariva, nice and close, had this crash sign button beside their name on the timing screens, but it looks like, thankfully, that may have just been an error. They may have had to stop due to the track conditions. But all riders may compete, may rejoin the restart as long as they're back with their bike in pit lane within 5 minutes. So for the likes of Alessio Guarnieri, Johan Gimbert, we might see them try and rush back as they look to get back into it. Of course, lap 2 of 16. We'll see if we have the full restart, of course.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see while the marshals get this job done. It's no easy feat either, cleaning up the track in 37 degrees Celsius. So a huge thank you, of course, to all the marshals that make this possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, and we're coming out with the blow dryer treatment as well.
I mean, a bit of wind and you'll see anything dried up in this heat.
That's it. Has to be said, though, Milan Pavelic, brilliant start. It would have been the dream start. He might be very disappointed to see the red flag come out, but he had opened up a gap, and it was Alberto Ferrandez and Eric Fernandez who were going with him. But the dream start from pole for Pavelic, looking very comfortable at this level.
Absolutely. How much is it costing you not to say pole from pole every time that you say Milan Pavelic?
It costs. It costs. I think I've run out of jokes and puns, so I think most people would be glad to hear that, but it's personally very disappointed with it.
He will be very frustrated. I mean, he had such a good start. There's no reason to think that he won't do so again, because as we mentioned previously, he was fastest in FP1, he was fastest in practice and in qualifying as well. So that's frustrating for him, but he's shown his talent all weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised if he get off to another fantastic start once we get things back underway. One rider who will be hoping that the start is a little different is Unai Oradre. We saw that impact with Eric Fernandez at the beginning of the race, just plowed into him onto Oradre's right, and that prevented Oradre from getting away as well as he would have liked from that P2 position. Alberto Fernandez will be starting from P6 once we get the proceedings back underway. His mechanics and technicians making sure that his bike is up to speed.
Yeah. So Marshall's busy working away. So this is what happened at the beginning of the race. Eric Fernandez veering to the left, clattering into Unai Oradre. A rider who might be happy to get a second go of things is Unai Oradre. He was dropped down to 6th position, I think, by the time the red flag had come out, coming from starting on the front row, race winner Nestor Elba. Look at that. Elbows out at the very beginning, right?
Start.
Look at that start from Danny Munoz as well. That we didn't catch the number 17 on the outside from the middle of the 3rd row. Number 4 and number 10 colliding from the off. Francesco Mongiardo. Look at the wheelie of the number 49 as well. Wow.
This is like a pre-Raphaelite painting. There is so much going on there. The wheelie, the excellent start from Milan Pavelic. And then you can also see Roberto Garcia just dropping down, not getting the start he would have wanted, and of course that impact between Fernandez and Oradre.
Xabi Suratutsa force wide there in the number 85 as well. Electric start to the Moto2 race here. Oh, let's hope for a cleaner one, but just as electric next time around.
Absolutely. Here we're looking at Unai Oradre's team as they get everything ready for the race restart.
Has to be said, Unai Oradre, race winner Nestor Il, but he was running in 3rd position as chaos unfolded in front of him. He deserved a win, but it was also, has to be said, it was a bit of a gift with both Fernandez in what was a bizarre crash. And first Alberto Fernandez and then Fernandez in a bizarre crash, both crashing out of the lead while comfortably leading.
Yep.
Oradre he must have been thinking, can't believe my luck here.
But he had to put himself in that position to take advantage of it. That's why he deserved the 25 points in that race. And he's a worthy championship leader for the time being. So yeah, an excellent race from him. I don't know if you just saw that, those fans wearing vintage Valentino Rossi hats and shirts. That was absolutely incredible.
I know you're a man of taste.
Exactly.
Esoteric taste when it comes to vintage gear. So, in the Andafur American Racing box, Javi Zuratutza, Alberto Sura, Niner had the best start, I don't think. We have an update on pit lane. Pit lane opening at 1:15, so less than 5 minutes. New race. It's going to be a new race. 10 laps, quick start procedure. So, a shortened race distance. We'd only just about completed 2, I think, of the opening lights out before the red flag came. We're going to have a 10-lap dash for the cash here in Moto2 in Jerez.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely incredible race here. Here we have the confirmation, new race, 10 laps with a quick start procedure, and just under 4 minutes now until pit lane opens. We had a very dramatic start to the first race here in the Moto2 European Championship. What surprises does the second have in store? As we prepare to get underway, the marshals just making sure everything is in order on this track in the baking Andalusian sun. 37 degrees here right now. There's a reason why they're all dressed in white, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a lot of sympathy. You can see on the right-hand side of the pit lane there in the yellow helmets, some of the firemen, the fire service here, head to toe in full equipment in this heat. They very much have my sympathies. Milan Pavlitz inside the garage, so he's got to get himself into the right headspace again. He had the perfect launch from pole, from the opening lights out. He had the dream opening couple of laps, and he needs to do it all over again.
Yeah.
The issue is Unai Uradri, Eric Fernandez are going to have better launches, you would imagine.
You would imagine, but nothing is certain in the Moto2 European Championship. Anything can happen. Absolutely,
there'll be plenty of competition. So the number 2, that's Lorenzo Samarvia. So one of the Samariva, I should say, will rejoin the race. He starts P29. So just confirmation then. New race lap. New race, 10 laps, I should say. Quick start procedure. Pit lane open at 1:15 local time. It is 1:13 on the dot. So 2 minutes, and we'll have pit lane open, quick start procedure, and we're away once again in the Moto2 race. So you would have to imagine just all riders now are going to take this as an opportunity to cool down, get out of the heat, and visualize 10 laps around Jerez.
Absolutely, but psychologically, to get yourself back in the frame of mind to go racing after you've just been dragged out of what was already a very interesting race, it's going to be so difficult for them to do that and to put themselves into a position where they can be as competitive and as aggressive maybe as they would like. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. If we look at the Cardoso Racing team box, Francesco Mongiardo's bike on the left there. Our pole sitter for the very first time in Estoril in the season opener. And God, he was one of those who really impressed in those very different conditions in the rain in Portugal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just looking through the timing screens here, Connor, and we've Roberto Garcia, the reigning champion, the number 31 starting from the middle of the second row. You've mentioned a point of aggression is needed. I think for Garcia, he needs a little bit more aggression because he was on the second row, I think P4 in Estoril for both races, but crashed out of both, did pick up some points in the end. But what I did notice his starts perhaps hadn't been as strong as they were in 2024, which helped build, which was the platform for him to launch his title tilt. So it'll be interesting to see now with the restart what Garcia can do, as it will be for Alberto Fernandez, Mongiardo. Mongiardo had a big wheelie first time out, as we see all the riders now getting ready to exit pit lane in about 5 seconds time. You'll see that red light on the traffic light turn from red to green. Any second, there it is, yes. Right on time, more or less.
I think it was a margin of about 2 seconds there.
Yes, yes. But look at that, packed packed stands here for people coming in. It's wonderful to see here in Jerez. Of course, a heartland of motorcycle racing in Spain and indeed the motorsports world. Jerez, an absolute jewel in the crown of any calendar in motorsports, and always brings out the fans, no matter how big, how little. So it's wonderful to see here at the JuniorGP World Championship for all the classes that there is a big crowd witnessing the next generation of talent.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge crowd has come on. It's gone up by 2 degrees since we started that first race. It was 37 when we got the opening race here in Moto2 up and running. That was red flagged, and now for the second race in Moto2, it's 2 degrees hotter, 39 degrees for these 10 laps.
With no wind.
No wind whatsoever, and that's something that's different as well. During qualifying and in free practice on Friday, there was wind. At least it was like a bit of a release.
No cool summer breeze here, unfortunately, in Jerez for these riders. But the action is going to heat up as well, you have to imagine. And here we have many of the fans braving the conditions.
Well, despite the conditions, it's still, I think, one of the best plans you can have for a Sunday.
Absolutely.
With the family.
Where else would you rather be?
I don't think there's anywhere I'd rather be. The family, friends, Circuito de Jerez-Angel Nieto, if you'll forgive my Spanish pronunciation.
We won't. No. So, almost go time again, sighting lap here. And 10 laps await us. 1:17 local time. We've had a slight delay. If you're just joining us, we had a delay due to track conditions. As we watch Milan Pavlic roll up to P1 on the grid. He had the dream start first time around. Will he have another dream start? Will he be able to do it again, repeat the trick, and lead from the get-go?
He'll certainly hope so, and what a start it was in that opening race. We're just about ready to go. 30 seconds there on the sign ahead of this second race in the Moto2 European Championship. The revs are rising for the warm-up lap here in the Circuito de Jerez. They just get underway. Warm-up lap, well, aptly named here. There's a wheelie there from Monjardo.
Oh, really? From Monjardo, really test the front and back of that, doesn't it? Yeah, away we go then on the warm-up lap. Left-hander here, going through turn 4. And leads us into the long, sweeping right-hander, the Cito Pons corner. Named after the legend himself, Cito Pons, multiple world champion Spanish rider. Before we have the back straight, this is where riders can really let the throttle go and open up. I mean, it's a short, fast-flowing circuit here in Jerez. This is one of the opportunities to build up a bit of speed. And then the hard-braking, looping round, Dani Pedrosa corner. Real overtaking hotspot. We've seen plenty of it in some of the other races today, haven't we, Connor?
We absolutely have. I think the positioning as well, going into turn 6 after that back straight, has proven absolutely pivotal in previous races today, and I'm certain it'll prove pivotal in the Moto2 European Championship as well as we go through turn 10. Another right-hander in turn 11.
Crivier corner. Just corners named after legends everywhere here. Alex Crivier, your first Spanish Premier Class World Champion. Dani Pedrosa, Jorge Martinez Aspar, Angel Nieto, of course Cito Pons, Jorge Lorenzo. Am I missing anyone?
As far as I'm aware.
But 10 probably. One or two. Almost set to go then.
Yeah, a little stoppy there from Milan Pavlic as he takes his place on the grid, on pole for the very first time in his career. What a start, what a show the pole is putting on here in Jerez. You see some Alberto Ferrandis fans there in the stands. Wearing all the gear as well. Well, we're almost ready to get underway here. The green flag is raving at the back in the Moto2 European Championship. Revs are rising and we are go in this Moto2 race. Another wheelie from Mongiardo. This time Milan Pavlic doesn't get away quite as well as he would have liked at all.
Yeah, much more aggressive start from Xabi Zurutuza, Roberto Garcia this time, and you can see him squeeze Pavlic out on the outside. That's the second corner in a row, but Pavlic does have the inside line. But it's Unai Oradre who's leading here in Jerez at the restarted Moto2 race. Then it's Eric Fernandez, the two of them getting away much cleaner than they did in the first lights out. As Roberto Garcia again trying to squeeze up the inside of Milan Pavlic. But disappointment for Pavlic, you'd have to say. Didn't get the launch from pole position, didn't get the whole shot that he was looking for, that he did in the opening lights out, but he is very much in contention. Here comes Alberto Fernandez, but look at the number 17, Dani Munoz. Again, a great start at lights out. Munoz very much in contention here, isn't he? Big crash at the back though, big crash at the back at the Dani Pedrosa corner. I think I saw at least three riders going down there. A double yellow at turn 6, so 3 riders down. One of them is Lorenzo Felon. Is that... Oh, I'm not quite sure who the other ones are, to be honest. But we'll bring you an update. Lorenzo Felon is one of the riders gone. Yeah, Maxwell Todd is one of them.
Yarai Ruiz. No, that's 72, not 27.
It's Abdullah Al-Kabasi, the Qatari rider. So 3 riders out at the Dani Pedrosa corner. Well, disappointment for them, but... yeah, Lorenzo fell on as well. But we're about to clock off another lap here, Connor. And the race is led by Unai Oradre.
Yeah, he's managed to take full advantage of the fact that he wasn't barged at the beginning of this race by any of the other riders. This time around, he got the start that he desperately wanted in the first race we had here, and he's still leading now as we go into turn 2. But the pressure is on. Eric Fernandez is chasing him, and he's chasing him very closely indeed. A few bike lengths in there.
Yeah, the front 2 very much opening up a gap to the back 2, both in the 147s last time around. A 147.6 for Unai Oradre, Eric Fernandez, a 147.9, and they are the only 2 riders into the 147s. Milan Pavlic, a low 148, but he's still tagged on to the back of these riders. He'll want to up the pace a little bit though. So it looks like we're all set up for the makings of a classic Jerez race, as they're still clearing out the bikes there at the Dani Pedrosa corner.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic from Dani Munoz. As you mentioned earlier, it's up 3 positions now into P5, very much in contention for the podium in this reduced race of 10 laps.
Yeah, the top 6 here, I would say, all very much in contention. Top 7, 8 even.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't count anyone out.
Xabi Zurutuza put in an excellent ride in Estoril. It's
Alberto Soler in B8, for example. I mean, there are riders that have a lot of race pace, so we've seen perform incredibly well before, that we've seen perform incredibly well here in Jerez before as well. So no one in this leading group can be ruled out for the time being. It's Oradre, though, who's leading, and he's going to be high on confidence. He's the championship leader, and he was spectacular in Estoril. He's followed closely, though, by Eric Fernandez. Milan Pavlic in P3. All those top 3 riders setting very similar times, 141.6s. So yeah, this is getting very, very tight at the front.
Yeah, Pavlic with the new fastest lap of the race, 141.6. He's closing in then on the riders ahead. He's a half-tenth behind Unai Oradre, but you can see when they'll pop up back on screen that he is closing that gap. It's now even gotten a little bit, a bit shorter going through sector 1, so maybe an opportunity will come for him at the Dani Pedrosa corner. He's probably a bit too far off, but Eric Fernandez, it's as you were. Eric Fernandez over Pavlic with Unai Oradre leading the way. Roberto Garcia, we said he needed to be a little bit more aggressive, didn't we, Connor? Well, that's certainly what he is doing. He crashed out of Estoril, 4th place, picked up some points in the end in race 2 after another, it wasn't a DNF, another crash, he rejoined. But Garcia showing a little bit of the form that saw him crowned Moto2 European champion in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be desperate to do so here in Jerez, in Andalusia. And as we mentioned earlier, the day after his birthday, so it could be a very, very happy birthday for Roberto Garcia if he manages to take advantage this time around of what was a much better start, a much more aggressive beginning to this race. He's currently in P4.
Yeah, bit of a gap to make up to Pavlic, as Pavlic does to Fernandez, but seems he's closing it up as they go around turn 13 here in Jerez, the final corner of the famous Jorge Lorenzo corner. Garcia though takes a bit of a wider angle. Alberto Fernandez then, he'll be ruining that red flag. He was keeping pace with Milan Pavlic, and Pavlic does make a move up the inside and takes second place off the hands of Eric Fernandez. Unai Oradre was in danger there of being pounced upon by Pavlic. But Alberto Fernandez, I was just mentioning, he's behind Dani Munoz here. He's losing ground on the podium places when he was running in P2 with Eric Fernandez and Pavlic in those podium places in race before the red flag, I should say. So he'll be ruining the red flag. He'll be looking for a way to get past Dani Munoz here to see if he can make up the ground on the podium trio, and indeed Roberto Garcia. But Pavlic now is starting to cut through the field ahead of him as Fernandez now looks at the move. He moves side by side to take the inside line, and the number 17 Dani Munoz at Dani Pedrosa corner.
He's got back inside.
A little bit wide. Munoz no, doesn't have the inside line that he was looking for, and that is Fernandez making the move past Munoz. And now the hunt begins for Fernandez on the podium places.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, incredible stuff here. But it's still Unai Oradre who's leading, followed by Eric Fernandez, who's just managed to get back ahead of Pavlic, who'd done the hard work there to move himself into P2. He was setting the fastest lap earlier in the race. He's still got an incredible pace, but he's going to have to make sure that he gets ahead of Eric Fernandez if he's going to be able to try and repeat just how well he was doing in that earlier race, which was, of course, red flagged.
Yeah, so steady form shown here, bar for Pavlic's moment ahead of Eric Fernandez. It's been like this for a few laps. Oradre, lap 6, P1 plus 0.4 seconds over Eric Fernandez. Pavlic's going to have a little look up here. He's not close enough. But yeah, Oradre, his lead remains about half a second over the chasing trio. It could become a quartet rather soon. Alberto Fernandez posting a 1:42.3, which is quicker than all of the riders ahead of him, except for Unai Oradre. So Fernandez beginning to chase down Roberto Garcia in 4th position. Will he bring the likes of Dani Munoz and Xabi Sorotuzza with him and make this a 7-way fight, perhaps 8-way fight for the victory?
I'm not sure that he will. He does seem to be putting a bit of distance between himself and the riders behind. That gap that he has is coming down. So yeah, I think Alberto Fernandez, a rider of his caliber, is definitely going to be putting himself into contention with this leading group.
Absolutely. Unai Oradre up front, and he is pretty impressive stuff so far. It's amazing what you can do when you get a good launch from lights out.
Amazing what you do when you aren't hit from the side by another rider when you're trying to get off the grid.
Yeah, but he's got 1 race win to his name already this season. He's looking to make it a 2nd. Very, very steady performance so far from Oradre. Very consistent out front. A 1:42.3 last time around. Quickest rider on circuit, I think. Certainly amongst the leading group. But behind him, there are also some very quick riders. Eric Fernandez, Milan Pavlic hunting down podium glory for the first time in 2025.
Yeah, certainly one of the fastest riders. They just had a 1:42.002 there, so he's slowing down slightly, but that gap is coming down to 0.3 actually with Eric Fernandez. But Oradre is just going to need to speed up a bit. Make sure that he builds that gap again, because it's been quite steady at around half a second for the last few laps.
Yeah, it's down to 3/10. It's down to 2/10. It's down to 2/10.
It's coming down. It's coming down.
Connor. It's 0.147 seconds. It's coming down very quickly. Sorry, it's that's between 2nd and 3rd. It's down to 2/10 at the lead. Fernandez is closing. 5 laps to go. 4.5 realistically. There's plenty of fireworks left in this one, yes, isn't there?
Yeah, I think everyone all the way down to P8, Dani Munoz is still in contention, barring any incredible drama for a podium, because they're all incredibly quick riders, and we've seen them do it before. Fernandez is really bringing down. He was setting the fastest sector time there for a bit in Sector 1 as he looks to catch up to this group. But he's having a bit of a tough time of it.
Yeah, it has to be said. 2 seconds, 2.3 seconds off the lead. I mean, looking at race 1, he was, I keep saying race 1. Prior to the red flag, he was running in second position with Milan Pavlic. Now, it was only a couple of laps, but it certainly looked like he had the pace to go with Pavlic, who's arguably been the quickest rider all weekend. Didn't get the best start in the restart of the race, and he's running in P3 right now. But Fernandez, yeah, it's tough going for him at the moment. He just can't seem to eke out those few tenths of a second needed to put the pressure on the riders ahead of him.
Yeah, he did the hard bit by getting himself ahead, and he's just got nothing but track to deal with now. He's got no battles, no threats coming from behind him for the time being, but he's just unable to catch up with the pace that these 4 riders at the front are setting. Unai Radre, Eric Fernandez, Milan Pavlic and Roberto Garcia just look to be doing magic. And there is Roberto Garcia, who's pushed himself into P3, and he's managed to make it stick as well. So Pavlic, his second race here in the Moto2 European Championship, going from still quite okay to a little bit worse.
Yeah, not what he would have envisioned at all.
Not with the start
for
that he had.
third position, yeah. Not the ideal start on the restart. He had a little look at the inside there, but nothing going for the Polish rider. It is Roberto Garcia showing that aggression that he's needed a little bit this season to get himself into P3. First podium of the season beckons for the reigning European champion. Milan Pavlic, though, he will not go away without a fight. It has to be said, Roberto Garcia as well. First rider into the 141s last time around, I think, as well in this race. But up ahead of him, it's Eric Fernandez and Unai Radre going toe for toe in the low 142s. So, Radre, Fernandez, Garcia now running in third, and he's already put a bike length or two between himself and Pavlic. But up front, nobody has had any answer for the consistent lap times that Unai Radre is setting.
Yeah, Unai Radre has been absolutely sensational in this race restart. He's still got Eric Fernandez right on his tail, but doesn't look to be posing an immediate threat to Radre as we cross the start-finish line.
3 laps to go then. Garcia closing in ever so slightly on Eric Fernandez, but just seems he might be a bit too far behind the top 2, particularly on this lap, to launch a challenge. But as we very well know, Connor, never say never in the Moto2 European Championship, because anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So, a few of the slow-mos here. Unai Radre, Eric Fernandez then in behind him. Let's see what it takes to tame a couple of these Moto2 beasts.
Yeah, absolutely. They make it look easy, but it's anything but.
So, Radre, 142.423 last time around. Eric Fernandez at 142.208. It's back down to around 0.2 of a second. It's 0.2 of a second isn't a whole lot of time. It looks like a few bike lengths there, but one mistake, one corner gone wrong, and it's very much game on.
Yeah, absolutely. But if there's anything we learned from the previous race in Estoril, it's that Radre is a rider who takes advantage of others' mistakes and doesn't typically make them himself. A very consistent rider, so he just needs to maintain this gap, which is oscillating quite a bit. I mean, it's coming down, it's going back up, so it really does depend on the sector. But for the time being, Radre is putting in a perfect performance despite the threat that Eric Fernandez poses.
Yeah,
P2.
Radre, of course, has a few wins to his name, a couple in Estoril. Have come in Estoril, season closer in 2024, season opener 2025. But Eric Fernandez, just 1 podium to his name so far in Moto2. I'd say maybe he's been one of the unluckier riders in the class. He picked up a P2 in Aragon, and he's always threatened for more podiums and top positions, but he tends, you know, to have that inconsistency of not seeing the checkered flag at times. A little bit of luck doesn't fall his way. I mean, you look at what happened in race 1 in Portugal. Leading the race, I think he had 2-second advantage at the time, and just a bizarre crash. Saw him flip over the front end, and the front end of his Boscoscuro machine just ripping clear off as well. It was a bizarre one.
But I think coming to grips with the conditions in Portugal is an entirely different state of affairs compared to here. Obviously, the conditions are difficult here with the heat going on 40 degrees, but in Portugal with the wet track, it's understandable why we saw so many riders go down when they were trying to really push for a position on the podium or even a win.
Absolutely, but it's been perfection so far for the number 10, Unai O'Radre, as we loop around the two right-handers at turn 9, turn 10. And we're about to begin the last lap, just a couple more corners. 3 corners to go, a pair of double rights, kink through 12, and then the Jorge Lorenzo corner. O'Radre has been flawless, and now look at this. Sector 3, he's found the 10th on Eric Fernandez and opened up the gap even further now. He's got a few bike lengths to spare over his chief rival in this race, Alberto Fernandez, up into 5th position, but just never really managed to close that gap. Pavelec, is he got a move coming here? He's not quite close enough. On to the last lap then, Connor.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible racing. What we're going to see happening here, does Eric Fernandez have something in his pocket to deal with what Unai O'Radre is doing? He's been absolutely perfect, the number 10, from start to finish. If something's going to happen, it's going to happen now. Eric Fernandez is in with an opportunity for the win, but he has to match what Unai O'Radre is doing, while just behind Roberto Garcia, Milan Pavelec battle for that final podium spot. For the time being, it's Roberto Garcia a day after his birthday. Is it going to be a very happy birthday for Garcia? Well, Milan Pavelec is going to do everything in his power to make sure it's not.
Yeah, you would say there are two main major overtaking hotspots. That is one of them, the Dani Pedrosa corner, but nothing going for either Fernandez or Pavelec, and it looks like that gap might just be too big to bridge for both riders. There is still the Jorge Lorenzo corner, turn 13, where we have seen so many battles through the years decided at the final corner in Jerez. Will it hold any drama for us here in Moto2?
Unai O'Radre is just so precise during sector 3 there, and he's managed to make a real gap there. He was the fastest in sector 3. He just got to get the best of everyone else in this final turn 13. Jorge Lorenzo corner, he comes through, and Eric Fernandez is just too far away. What about the battle for third though? What a moment there for Milan Pavelec. That could cost him a podium, but it's Unai O'Radre who wins here in Jerez. What a ride from Unai O'Radre. Well, he benefited from this restart after that red flag and did so to wonderful, wonderful effect. What a win. You can see what it means to the Team Chiate Bosco Escuro team. Another win for Unai O'Radre, Chris.
Talk about taking your chances when they come. Estoril race winner after some chaos in front of him. Restarted race here in Jerez, race winner. Despite a moment at the initial lights out that seemed to have cost him, second time round gets it right and leads from start to finish of a 10-lap dash. Brilliant, brilliant stuff from Unai O'Radre. Championship number 1, 70 points. Catch him if you can.
Yeah, Unai O'Radre, absolutely sensational from start to finish here. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that. You can see what it means to him there. So pleased with the way that race has gone. He's really put in a terrific show, as has Eric Fernandez, of course, who is currently 7th in the standings with 30 points. It was unfortunate to crash out in Estoril. This time around, well, he's got P2, and that means everything to him. An absolutely fantastic ride. In the end, just didn't have what it takes to catch up to Unai O'Radre, but from start to finish, he was putting the pressure on, building the heat here in Jerez, which of course is almost at 40 degrees. You can see Roberto Garcia, who finished P3 with a well-deserved wheelie there. The Cardoso racing rider currently in P8. He'll be incredibly pleased with that podium finish. And another wheelie there, just for good luck. But it is Unai O'Radre who is our race winner here at the Circuito de Jerez-Angel Nieto. And the emotion for our championship leader is absolutely evident there. A very, very well-deserved win. There he is waving to us after this perfect restarted race in the Moto2 European Championship. 2 wins now under his belt this year in the Moto2 European Championship. And 1 P2, a very worthy leader as we take a look at Parc Fermé and Eric Fernandez, who arrives first. Unai Radri coming in now as well. Just revving there, letting everyone know he's coming. And we can see Roberto Garcia, who claimed P3. Well, Unai Radri really has taken a huge step forward. Cheeky little kiss there from Eric Fernandez to the camera. All 3 of these riders put in such a sensational performance here. Eric Fernandez talking with his team there. Very happy with that P2 finish. And in the distance we saw Roberto Garcia as well. But it's Eric Fernandez that we're focusing on right now. And there is Unai Radri, our race winner in Jerez in the Moto2 European Championship. First in the championship with 70 points to his name. What about that for a lead? A real statement for intent from Radri. An absolutely fantastic ride. Eric Fernandez, of course, didn't make it easy for him at all. Here we can see Roberto Garcia, 8th in the standings after this fantastic ride in Jerez, in front of his home crowd as well. Obviously, he's from very nearby in Seville, so we'll have a lot of people out here watching and supporting him. Eric Garcia really enjoying a bit of camera time there. Eric Fernandez, rather. And now we can see Unai Radri. Doesn't want to get in the way of the P2 photo for Eric Fernandez there, but we'll be hearing from him very shortly. Congratulations all around there then, between these 2 teams. But it is Unai Radri who will be standing on top of the podium. Here we have then some of the key moments from the race. Unai Radri, absolutely perfect from start to finish. And he got ahead and really wasn't threatened by Eric Fernandez. He was in complete control throughout, and he made that really evident. You can see what it means to him to extend his lead at the top of the Moto2 European Championship standings. You can see what it means to his team as well. Well, we'll be hearing from our race winner very shortly because he's down in Parc Fermé with Chris Jordan.
Unai, from drama at the first lights out to perfection second time round, tell us about your race and how you're feeling now.
Yeah, incredible feeling with the bike, with all the team. I work a lot because 2 weeks ago, 100% of the other riders do some tests here, so we need to push the weekend, but we work perfect, we work a lot, 100%, and super happy with the result. In the first race, I have some problems and touch with other riders, but in the second race, I have my pace. I try to be calm with the rear tire, and I take the victory. So let's continue like this. Thanks to all the team, to Bosco Oscuro, to all my family, and to all my friends support me.
And in Spanish, please, for all your fans back home.
Sí, la verdad es que ha sido un fin de increíble, ¿no? Tengo un feeling con el equipo, con la moto increíble. Estoy muy contento. 2 semanas atrás, muchos pilotos han hecho aquí test y nosotros veníamos con un poco de desventaja. Pero hemos trabajado muchísimo desde el primer día, con altas temperaturas, con el neumático trasero, y se ha visto el resultado, ¿no? En la primera salida he tenido un toque con otro piloto, me había relegado un poco atrás, pero enseguida hemos adelantado. Y en la segunda carrera he salido bien, he cogido mi ritmo, he empezado a tirar fuerte, pero cuidando un poco el neumático trasero. Y al final, en las 2 últimas vueltas, he podido tirar un poquito más. Así que súper contento, vamos a seguir trabajando así y ojalá que estos buenos resultados. Gracias a todo el equipo, a Bosco Oscuro, a mi familia, a todos mis amigos que me están viendo desde casa, así que vamos a por más.
Gracias. Congrats, well done.
Here we have the highlights then from what was an incredible Moto2 European Championship encounter. Milan Pavelic got away so well in the opening race, but much to his chagrin, it was red flagged early on when we saw a race restart. There we have then the red flag confirming that the track surface needed a little touching up from the marshals, and then second time around, Milan Pavelic didn't get away quite so well. Eric Fernandez managed to seal the pole shot, but he couldn't keep P1 for long because Unai Oradre was putting in the shift of his career. He managed to claim the front of the race and managed to keep it despite the constant pressure from Eric Fernandez throughout under the baking sun here in Jerez. Milan Pavelic tried to maintain his rhythm, the rhythm that he'd had all weekend. Got himself into P2, but there was a constant threat from Roberto Garcia a day after his birthday here in Jerez and in front of his home crowd. Garcia eventually did make the move and got ahead of Milan Pavelic, while at the front, the battle between Unai Oradre and Eric Fernandez continued. It was Oradre who claimed his second win of the season, and you can see just how much it meant to him. An absolutely fantastic performance from start to finish from Unai Oradre here at the Circuito de Jerez-Angel Nieto, and one that extends his lead in the Moto2 European Championship. Here we have then the podium celebrations. Roberto Garcia coming out to rapturous applause as he takes this third spot on the podium. Eric Fernandez congratulating his rival there. And then our winner, Unai Oradre.
Seguidamente, el ilustrísimo señor don Juan Álvarez, presidente de la Comisión Gestora de la Real Federación Motociclista Española, va a hacer entrega del trofeo al equipo vencedor.
Who presents the trophy here, the president of the RFME's management committee. For the winning team.
De la misma forma, don Juan Álvarez hace entrega del trofeo al tercer clasificado. Equipo
third place. A hug as well for Roberto Garcia. This is the trophy. A deeply emotional moment for him.
Seguidamente el señor Cayetano Gómez, director del Circuito de Jerez-Angel Nieto, hace entrega del trofeo al segundo clasificado.
Director of the Circuito de Jerez. Another hug, this time for Eric Fernandez. Very pleased with his P2 finish.
Y finalmente el señor Jean-Marc Denis, vicepresidente de FIM Europa, hace entrega de
The
ese
Vice
trofeo
President
como vencedor en esta
of the FIM Europe, Mr. Jean-Marc Desnoues, who presents Unai Radre with his winner's trophy. We will be hearing very shortly the Spanish national anthem
del Circuito de Jerez en esta carrera del Europeo de Moto2.
ringing out here in Jerez.
De Unai Radre escuchamos el himno nacional de España. Fuerte el aplauso para los integrantes del podium.
A big round of applause there after the Spanish national anthem. Unai Radre's excellent second win of the season in the Moto2 European Championship. This time we are treated to something a little more than gaseosa. It's Prosecco there. And you can see what it means to all three of these riders to claim their place on the podium.
Super race. Super race from Unai Radre, you'd have to say, Connor. Absolutely flawless from the second lights out after the red flag. And very much deserving of the gold trophy here in Jerez. So let's take a recap of the results from Moto2 European Championships visit to Jerez. It's Unai Radre who takes the win. Eric Fernandez is coming over the line as second behind him. Then Roberto Garcia, who denied Milan Pavelich, the pole sitter, his first podium. Alberto Fernandez, 5th. Zurituza, Sura, 6th, 7th. Then Dani Munoz, Facundo Llambias, 8th and 9th. Double podium finisher in Estoril, Francesco Mongiardo has to settle for 10th. Yeray Ruiz, Alessandro Morosi, Josh Watley, Rossi Moore, Borja Jimenez, all picking up the final point scoring places. Mario Mayor, Francisco J. Palomera, Marco Tapia, Demis Mihela, Enes Kroseven, Christian Lolly, Mattia Volpi, Juan Uristegui, Harrison Vaught, Lorenzo Arriva, all taking the checkered flag but not scoring any points. Jeffrey Emmanuel and Jonah Eisenkolz also failing to score points but seeing the checkered flag. Lorenzo Fallon, Maxwell Todd, Abdullah Al-Kubasi among the riders who did not finish the race. And all of that means that Unai Radre remains the championship leader. 70 points from a potential 75. It's a strong start to the Spaniards' title tilt. Francesco Mongiardo remains in second. Alberto Fernandez moves up to third at the expense of Alberto Sura. Milan Pavelich up to fifth. Zurituza down one. Eric Fernandez, Roberto Garcia both on the move up. Yeray Ruiz, Oscar Gutierrez, then 10th, 11th. Gutierrez, of course, absent with injury following his Moto E crash. Then Morosi, Tapia, Llambias, Palomera, Kerseven, Gimbert going from 12th to 17th. While the rest of your point scorers in 2025 are Borja Jimenez, Rossi Moore, Josh Watley, all on 5. But the day belongs to Unai Radre.
An absolutely sensational ride from Unai Radre after a dramatic opening to Moto2 European Championship proceedings with a red flag, meaning that the race was restarted for 10 laps, and Unai Radre delivered from start to finish. It was absolutely sensational for all 25 points.